the live.
This is True OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you want to know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business.
All right.
And we is here. Ooh,
we're here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Good to see you again, Nick.
Cool. Thank you very much.
He's awake today.
All the way
we lost David.
Lost
David.
Right at that moment.
David will be back.
A bit of flu and a little really hectic time in business, which is really cool. Year end is always fun.
A bit of the flu. Okay.
Yeah. David's got a bit of the flu too. So yeah, David's not feeling well either. So he could die during the show, which will make David, just so you know, don't be selfish. It's going to make great television for us if you die during the show.
I know. Yeah,
so, don't be selfish and try to live. I'm saying don't think of yourself here. Think of the team. So
I'll take one for the team. And like Douglas Adams, once said, in one of his characters, I'll take a year off dead for tax reasons. And then but yeah, man, great short, wasn't it? If I had to keel over and die. But
and we won't panic. We won't panic.
No,
we're just going to keep going on with the show like it's nothing.
The British comedian, Tommy Cooper, he died on stage, and everybody thought it was part of his act.
Oh no!
So, you can see that on the internet. It's
and the guy
funny, but also very sad. But
I actually saw it. The guy Shaw, I can't remember his first name, but he was in the movie The Producers in 1960 with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. He played the German guy. Oh, I can see Dick Shaw. He actually died on stage. This is 20 or 30 years ago of a heart attack during his act, and everybody thought it was kind of part of the gig until they realized it wasn't. So,
wow.
But his son said he went out the way he wanted to go, which was like performing.
I'm going to say you literally do what you love. Yeah. Like, come on.
So
but then again, of course, I don't. How many actors or comedians or people on YouTube shows, want to die? I mean, it's bad enough.
Yeah. Red Fox died too. Red Fox died while doing his comedy series, Red Fox. He died on set. So a lot of famous people have died. But just so we'll get off the death thing.
Let's try to avoid dying on it. Let's avoid the dying on this show. I love being on the show. We're going to avoid the dying.
Okay, let's nobody die.
Yeah,
so
Michael's allergic to dying.
Michael's allergic to dying. So I've had an interesting morning. When I got up, I picked up my briefcase. The handle fell off. Then I put on a shirt and the button fell off. Now I'm afraid to go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So it's been that kind of a morning for me. So just to let you know.
Careful there. Yeah.
Careful. I don't know what's going to happen next.
And you've got and you're in a new studio, or you're getting
not yet. New studio is next week. So we have. No, it's there because I'm holding the guy who's building the studio, his family hostage. Nunzio and Rockham will have him in the basement in Brooklyn. So we'll be good. So this week, somewhere in Brooklyn, they're fine. So this week we have this painting that was done on one of our shows called Rusty's Art by an artist, and it's just a humble tribute to David and I, which is a takeoff on Michelangelo's the creation of Adam. So we call this the creation of David. And if you go to our merch store, you can actually get the sweatshirt, which unfortunately the sweatshirt is packed going to the new studio. But I have worn it on the show before, and you can have me on your chest or David or both.
Yeah.
So
all day long.
You can see as ever, I'm subordinate to the great Stephen.
Who isn't?
The great.
Because he's my maker. There you go.
But let's think about it.
We all have a maker. We all have a maker.
Might as well be me. You might as well have the Jew as the maker.
And he's on the show. Please note, he's on the Lost Dollar Business Club.
That's right. Think about this. The other guy in that book, The Fable, he never shows up. I'm here all the time.
He's here all the time.
So there you have it.
Stephen, we're glad you're on the show.
Yeah. And honestly, with that sort of statement, the only thing we could do now is take a commercial.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club. All right, and we're back.
We're back, and God's taking his sweatshirt.
And before we start, let me just make this little announcement, because someone said to me the other day they did not realize we had a podcast. So everyone that's listening or watching us, if you don't want to look at our faces, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Well, I understand the guy in the corner, but if you don't want to look at our faces, you can catch us under Two Old Farts Making Noises, and you can look for Lost Dollar Business Club, and you can listen to the show while you drive, while you make love to your sugar baby or your mistress, or not your wife, of course. Why? No. But if you need it to fall asleep, or whatever you need. But you can listen to it on the subway in New York, and let everybody hear it. But yeah, we are wherever you get your podcast under Two Old Farts Making Noises. All our shows are there that do podcasts, not the art shows, because there's nothing to really podcast. And then, of course, you were here on YouTube. So Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and I think 50 others. But so you can podcast us whenever you like globally. So even the people in South Africa, when your gerbil runs around and gets you enough power, you can actually do it there. So
we still need to do a power show.
We even have smartphones, Steve.
Yeah, but here's the thing with your smartphones, they're very nice, but they're a lovely paperweight since you don't have the power for them to work, or internet and Wi-Fi. So it's great to go, look, I have a smartphone, and it keeps the paper down when the wind blows. It's very nice.
Exactly.
So.
I didn't want to be rude and say something like you'd have to be smart to use one, but I don't think it's the sort of thing.
Nick's going to be like, I'm never taking time off again.
Them fighting words.
Yeah, we missed you, Nick. I feel some of us were awake. Some of us were awake, right?
There's a little bit of walking on fire in reintroduction into the team. Like it's kind of a.
That's right. It's been a while since you've been back. We need you here.
Wait till John comes. Wait till John comes back. He comes back, I think, in 2 weeks from hunting Nazi gold.
Right.
Yeah.
So when John comes back, John's going to be in tears because we're going to have a good time with him. So because John's not watching any or listening to any of the shows, so we're going to quiz him on all the shows he wasn't on. And go, so tell us, John, what happened while you were away? I'm like, it was just going to be awesome.
Well, good thing to note that next week is Cory Doctorow, and he's going to be talking about his fictional embezzlement book, technological embezzlement book. And Cory, there you go. You got the fireworks. so Cory Doctorow.
Stephen's head is on fire, but there you go.
Wait, let's see if I can do the balloons. Keep talking. They taught me how to do the balloons.
Yeah. He's got the
song. No wonder people want to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, because if you're fast forwarding this on YouTube, you think, why am I watching now?
All right.
It's like a nude puppet show, hand puppet show. Without costumes.
Well, we've got two. Speaking of a puppet show, we've got two. We've got two puppet shows to talk about today. The crypto market, the cryptocurrency market around Bitcoin, and the flaws around the crypto market, which author Joshua Oliver did a really good critique of crypto, thorough critique of crypto in the Financial Times. Thank you, Stephen, for that article.
You're welcome. Thank you, Financial Times. I don't see the sponsorship yet.
We've mentioned them how many times? And then we've got a conversation around Evergrande, which is the Chinese beleaguered real estate developer that is apparently
$60 billion fraud.
60 billion pound fraud. That's $76
billion US. Yes.
That's real money. The other one, of course, is Wirecard as well. The German.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not the same scale, but certainly the same impact.
Yeah, because it's even more fun because not only was it like special money from this special magic money tree, which the tree didn't exist, let alone the money.
Right.
He turns out to be ex-KGB as well. Even more fun. There's a movie in there.
Yeah. So there's a Netflix special in there.
Yeah.
It is a Netflix special, actually. Actually, you can go to Netflix and see Wirecard, the whole story. It's a Netflix special. It's one of their 3-parter things. I watched it. So.
Stephen, please stop. Are they sponsoring us?
Who?
Netflix.
They are.
They will.
Welcome to Netflix. So, I will say this: we are talking to a sponsor. Actually, we have 3 or 4 sponsors that we are speaking to. And in April, we may actually have shows being sponsored by many companies, because apparently once we hit the 60,000 mark of viewers, everybody and their grandmother is like, oh, wait a minute, these guys actually have something. I think today we're at 60,000 or 61,000 subscribers, which is excellent. So thank you, everybody that watches and listens. And we just keep going and going and going. So, and LostDollar Business Club is one of the big shows.
It's remarkable how a naked, puppet show can actually work.
Naked puppet shows work. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry, Michael. So you were talking about all this magic money. It
is magic money. It is magic money. That's right. And that's the thing that the author for the crypto story was actually getting at, is that there are 4 major flaws with cryptocurrency. I'll just list them and then we'll talk about them. But I mean, the first is that there are still middlemen. There's still the idea of cryptocurrency was to get away from middlemen, and so that you own your currency. But there are still exchanges all over the place. FTX, the failed massive exchange, being one of them, and stable coins. So there's stable coins that people still invest with. They still want that. Anti-authority, anti-regulation, which actually leads to prices being defined by sentiment and no real fundamentals, which that's a reality there. And then because of that, they're unconstrained. I mean, these coins, they just you create these coins out of thin air. You guys probably know about a lot. Yeah, that's right. They just appear. 40,000 of them were created in 2022, and 25% of those were. I mean, you can't say that they were necessarily scammed, but they completely.
They were magic. They were magic. Say it as it is, Michael. Let's be right.
Magic. That's right.
They were magic coins.
Where do we use crypto today? Crypto's been around now for a decade. Where do we use it? Except it uses energy.
So the only thing that I've seen.
I think we use it in conversations to make ourselves sound important.
Okay.
No. Yeah, in the real world, let's move so. Before the crash, now it's back up. They would use them at clubs in Miami. Miami became the crypto center in 2022, 2023. And then when crypto died, all these clubs closed. I'm assuming now they're opening again. But anyway, the people would pay for their 10,000. Well, no. What would happen in Miami is these guys would go with they'd have all these crypto conferences, and these guys would go to these clubs, and the clubs would take crypto. So you could pay for your $10,000 champagne and whatever with your crypto, and you could pay for this. Car dealerships, supercar dealerships, now I don't know about normal cars, but supercar dealerships to this day, globally, whether it's here or abroad, will take Bitcoin. There's several countries that'll let you buy a house with Bitcoin. So in the real world, you can use it to an extent, but for the most of the real world is still, I think, more bragging rights. Like I have, I have this crypto algorithm, but to your point, it's make believe. And at some point, I mean, I know like Dubai or the UAE wants to be like the crypto blockchain hub of the world. And they do a lot there. Like, the car dealerships there, everything they'll do.
But it's
right. I think we have to separate crypto and blockchain. I mean, the blockchain substructure upon which it's built is brilliant. I mean, there's so many security features and so many functionalities that one can use from that. Obviously, then you go into the financial side, and I think, Michael, to your point, the challenge is that it's linked to markets, which then has an emotional effect to it. So part of the challenge is they're trying to link it. That's hence stablecoin, because they're trying to link it to something which has a lot more stable value going forward. Because you're looking at something like, I mean, in South Africa, we have a coin for R1 million, and then tomorrow it's 30,000 rand. So you're literally losing 70-80%. So I think that's kind of, I think we should probably try and separate the two in terms of technology, even though the one's built on the other.
Right. Well, the good thing with blockchain, and blockchain actually has a purpose. Like we've done stuff with blockchain, whether it's contracts or art or tokenization of properties or whatever, or an asset, right? So blockchain actually has a purpose. The crypto algorithm or Bitcoins or whatever, there's no purpose. Stable coin, or when they came out with the US dollar coin that was supposed to be on parity with a dollar, and then it went to 98 cents. So I'm like, I don't want to be rude or anything, but that's less than $1. Now, like I may not be the sharpest tack in the room, but I'm like, I could do the math. So this is all just a bunch of crap. It's all these people, the fear of missing out. And at some point, if a government says, China and India have already said it, we have our own coin, you can't trade it here. If another large country says it, like there's no more, we're not going to accept Bitcoin, that's going to be a problem, because there's only going to be a handful of places you can spend it. And most of that article also talked about it's still black market. Most of the stuff that Bitcoin's used for is still very black market, very whatever illegal thing you're doing, still can do it with Bitcoin because of the somewhat anonymity of it. But it really isn't, because
it's not even anonymous, but
right. There's an article that I didn't send you about these two Chinese ladies in London that were money laundering using Bitcoin, and the financial authority and the good police over there tracked the Bitcoin, the anonymous Bitcoin. Yeah. So, and there was about 4 years ago in New York, the FBI arrested two people for $4 billion of fraud with Bitcoin, that they got help from agencies in America that don't exist. So all these people that think their Bitcoin is anonymous and no one knows any, trust me when I tell you,
that's why they have to use Monero. That's why they got to use Monero.
Yeah, but my point is, there's a government somewhere that knows about your Bitcoin and they know who you are. So to think that they don't know you, the only thing, which is why they got rid of them, that no one knew what you had was bearer bonds. That was it. We used to trade a lot of bearer bonds back in the 80s, and then in the 90s or something, when they got rid of them, they all kind of came due over the last, say, 10 years. That was really the only anonymous thing you had. You had a piece of paper that said pay to the bearer.
It's an IOU then, a bearer bond, technically.
So basically, whether it was from a government, a country, or a company, you would get, in $1,000 or $10,000 denominations. It would say pay to the bearer. The coupons were attached. You could buy whether you bought $1,000 of them or $100 million of them. Put them in a suitcase. You can go to wherever. You go to a brokerage house or a bank that had a brokerage house, and you go, I want to cash my bearer bonds, and they would cash them. And bearer bonds were truly the only non-trackable, other than art, if you will, asset that you could do anything with. And then the governments, of course, didn't like that. So
how does this crypto, how does this crypto market get solved? I mean, if people still want to keep using crypto and still want it, I mean, certainly it's still considered a cutting edge technology that people are interested in using. And now that it's been more legitimized by being an ETF, at least by BlackRock, legitimized. Yes, well, they want to get in on it.
I think it's a generational thing. I think there's the Gen Zs and the Gen Xs. Yeah, they don't see there's going to be any money left over in the traditional pension pot, and so therefore they think I'm going to have crypto. So at least I have a little bit of control over it. Plus, there's the casino aspect of it, because in the old fart house here, it gets followed a lot for various different reasons, and then oh great, it's this much today, and then I think, well, okay, we'll have a look tomorrow then. It's this much today. Right. So everybody kind of likes to ride to go with it. So it's like a pension on steroids, I suppose. For me, I've got a magic tree in the garden. I'll keep
going on that. Yeah.
Keep watering it. But the problem was in the past is like you could not. None of the banks that we deal with. It's nice that BlackRock has an EFT and you can do it through whatever. But none of the banks that we deal with, and we deal with like real banks, not like the Dave, Steve, Nick, and Michael bank, right? We deal with a real bank that they have lots of assets and lots of cash. But when we would say to them, if we wanted to buy Bitcoin as an example, and I want to cash out, they'd be like, we can't cash you out. Like nobody, that until, if you will, the top 50 banks in the world, and maybe that's changed a little bit. The banks we still deal with are the top 10, and they're not cashing anybody out. That's the problem. if somebody says to me, listen, you can buy, and this wallet bullshit is ridiculous. Like, it needs to be, if you want me to use it, it has to be very simple. I don't need to go through 857
but technologically,
things.
it's not very simple. That's
I'm okay
issue.
with it, but here's the thing, not my problem. You want it to be adopted globally, you have to dumb it down for everybody.
That's right.
I don't need to. And David and Nick remember this. When we were at Noisy Panda, we had a wallet, and literally it was like we set up a wallet with 8 of us to make sure that we need 27 word this, a 16 word that. It's 4 hours to set up a wallet. No, I don't have 4 hours. My assistants don't have 4 hours. So until you can make it like a bank account where I can go, booty, done, then it becomes, I think, wider. The other thing is, if I want to go from fiat to crypto or crypto to fiat, you have to make it easy, not an event. And that's the problem. Like I say to people, well, how do you cash out? Well, I have to do this, and then I have to go over here, and then over here brings it over here. I'm like, that's too much work. I just want to push a button and be done, like selling a stock, right? Or selling a bond.
You remember as well, guys, that we were looking at ticketing as well, which would be an absolutely wonderful. I mean, the blockchain would be an absolutely wonderful solution to ticketing scams, and or the scalping, what it is. I think it's a better word. It'd be absolutely brilliant for that. And we thought, oh, great, let's have a look at it. But it's clockwork. The whole process of putting the money through the system and getting your ticket out the other end, which doesn't come out the other end, it goes into a wallet. It's clockwork. And as opposed to the Ferrari, which is currently available. I push that button, ring that bell, lost the money, it's gone from my account, I got my ticket.
The convenience,
Yeah, so
there's a couple of companies in South Africa who do these handheld devices, so like a smartphone, if you want to call it that, where you can actually pay using crypto. So literally, you take the back of your phone and you touch it against it, and they can accept crypto. And we've got I think we've got about 9 crypto ATMs across the country as well. So it's interesting that I think the areas where and it's interesting because Africa kind of looks at the cutting edge. It's quite interesting. We supposedly seen as third world, but when it comes to financial institutions, we're seen as cutting edge only because we don't have the large back end to what Europe has and what Africa has. I'm sorry, my apologies, what the USA has. So something like M-Pesa, which is a cell phone to cell phone transfer system, is doing phenomenally well in Kenya. It has been for a number of years now. Where literally you can just send someone, they trade in airtime, they trade in cell phone airtime. So I think it depends all about the regulation and how much control the regulator in that particular country has. So I think it's from what I'm seeing, my research is kind of telling me that Ali Bank is kind of a little bit, they're open to crypto. USAA, Goldman Sachs, I think, is starting to look at it as well. And so there are a couple of banks in the USA who are kind of sort of trading in that space, Steve.
Yeah, but see, if you go to Ali Bank and you talk, they no clue. No, they're like, no. So Goldman, listen, Goldman Sachs, and you take this for what it's worth, biggest whores on the planet, right? Anything to make money, that's what Goldman's going to do. And coming from that profession, kudos to you, gentlemen and ladies. I'm okay with Goldman Sachs being the whores, right? Because I understand what you do as an investment bank. I get it. So, but the problem is until it's like we have Bank of America, Chase, until you can go into your local branch and go, listen, I've got 17 trillion in crypto, and I'd like to, put this part of it into fiat, and the teller can go, okay, clicky, clicky, done. Right. That's where the problem is. To get it out, it's a pain.
It's a big part. That's a big part of the problem is just not being able to use it in that way. But also think of the fact that Sam Bankman-Fried was able to defraud, to scam the world of those billions of dollars was only possible because he had so much control over the cryptocurrency itself, and he was able to make those transfers on his own without any regulation. And so this is maybe an argument for regulation done right. There is some benefit to it.
And at some point, I think if the governments get together, well, let's just put China and India out for right now because they say no. But let's say they all one day get together and go, let's have a regulate. then the question I have to everybody that's in this crypto algorithm, are you still going to want to play in it? Because now all of a sudden it's no different than this. It's all different than this. No different than the stock market. It's no different than any other ETF or commodity or this, or I can go down a list. So then do you want to play? Because right now it's the Wild West, even though they're trying to put more regulations in, right? They like that, sure, because they all think it's going to go to $1 million. And listen, I hope it does. But then the day that it goes from 1 million, to Nick's point, not in rand, but just say dollars, pounds, or euros, from 1 million down to 30, then what do you do?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and it's nice that BlackRock, listen, BlackRock got in because, once again, they're no different than Goldman Sachs. We can be whores. But when the Winkle twins, or whatever their name was, the Facebook guys, or whatever they were claimed the fame is, tried to do it, they were told, no, never work. You can't do it. BlackRock comes along, and all of a sudden, like, oh, of course you can do it. So now I guess the Winkles, their Gemini fund, will go do it. But my point is,
that's a clear power play. Yeah.
Correct. But that's my point. So if you're trying to do something for just a normal little person, and the normal little people come and they go, we want to do this, and they've set it up exactly how the big guy set it up, and the little guy is told no, but the big guy is told yes. I don't want to be rude or anything to people that are trading their Bitcoin and all this other happy horse crap, but it's no different than a stock or bond today on the New York or the LSE or the Hong Kong. It's no different than any of it.
I mean, the risk is it gets absorbed into the.
It already is. The minute BlackRock got involved, it's already absorbed.
It seems to be like the underlying sort of sentiment to this whole thing is the real use of it, the practicality of it, seems to be held back by some mysterious force.
Right.
Maybe the conspiracy theory seems to be held back until all of a sudden the power holders, the legacy power holders, are a little bit more comfortable in the saddle.
That's right.
Because even when we were playing around a bit in the metaverse, you could almost sense it. There was always this sort of this resistance in front of you. Maybe it's because if you're in a new mine and you're looking for the new gold, you get resistance there. Well, I may have just paranoid in my old age. I don't know.
You're paranoid and correct. So there you go.
Well, that's the issue, right?
Correctly paranoid. Well, there you go.
Correctly paranoid. Well, speaking of correctly paranoid, we all should have been correctly paranoid of Evergrande's claims that they were making, 40, 50, 60 billion dollars in 2019 and 2020.
I bought the same tree. They bought the tree from AliExpress. I bought the same tree. It's in the garden. Magic money tree.
The money tree.
That's hurting China in a big way because a lot of people lost money.
It's this entire network of real estate developers and contractors and non-regulated financial services who are backing them that are now dramatically affected.
Don't they have a crazy system? You pay up front for everything, and then they build it. That's what
Well, that's what was happening. Was they were claiming that they took on assets. They took the payments before and claimed that they had the assets before they actually built it.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to be rude, but that's what a lot of the developers do globally. It's
I was going to say that's kind of the status quo at the moment. The challenge is that they actually deliver on the promises. And you in SA you can kind of walk in and they've got 3 or 4 units already built, and you can obviously then see the balance of the units being built in process. To a large degree, you have your 10 or 15 guys who put a couple of bar down because they want to take the risk on that particular one, and they get huge discount on it, and that kind of kickstarts these developers. But then once they've got 6 or 7 of the units done, they pop them up. You can come in, you go into a little showroom, and once you start seeing people drive in and out of the property, then suddenly you kind of go, okay, cool, this is stable, and we can actually start sort of investing more money. So it's quite interesting that they've got to that level where there's that amount of cash that is currently exposed, or at least all clients are exposed, because it brings up so many questions relating to sort of financial misconduct and the penalties, implications for the property market as a whole, like where does trust go to for that? Sort of the environmental impact that it's going to have both on the market as well as whatever spaces they've potentially started looking at, and obviously then creating the debt. I mean, because there's a massive debt.
And also think who paid the real price? The poor small investors who thought they were buying a home for their family and spending.
Isn't there an element of politics in this as well? Is because the Chinese people have been, they've become very obedient, through the communist system that they work through, and so therefore they probably thought, well, this is okay then. This is how it is, and let's not worry about it. It's all going to happen.
Yeah,
and then we go back to just gangsters, basically financial gangsters who.
Well, that's why this entire show is really about fraud in general, whether it's crypto or real estate in China. It's amazing to think that these schemes are happening at such a scale in our modern society.
Well, maybe that's their success, Michael, that they are so big. I mean, if I'm doing the 3-card trick, or like putting the 3 cups on the table,
Ricardo Monte,
the risk is minimal. But if you go wherever you go, everybody's doing it,
right?
Then you kind of lose the element of that it must be okay then.
Right. People go along with it. Yeah, people go along. Right.
And then this awful statement, "Oh, they're too big to fail." I mean, what?
Well, that's pathetic. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Yeah. SVB, we bailed them out last year. Why did we bail them out with 3 or 4 billion? Because all the billionaires have their money there, and they were like, "Oh my God, the billionaires won't have money." Well, if it's some shit little bank, they weren't going to bail anybody out. But to go back to the fraud part, here's the problem: is that nobody thinks FTX, the Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund, threw 300 million, really 290 million, and they did no due diligence. They're just like everybody else as we will. And so, Evergrande is the same thing. People are just throwing money and like big money, like, different funds. No one does due diligence. Like when someone says to me, I have a fund, I'm like, that's nice. I'm like, we need to talk to your banker. We need to talk to like whoever you trade through. Like we need to talk to everybody. It's nice that you tell me you have 5 billion or 10 billion under management. I need to actually talk to somebody there that is high enough on the food chain that can verify it. And it's a phone call, and nobody does it. They all go, "Oh, okay." They showed me a spreadsheet. I'll make you a spreadsheet.
Right.
And people are just, like I said, I say this on all the shows. People are ostriches. And just because you run a fund or you run a government or you run a sovereign wealth fund, if you don't get your head out of the sand, and you're going to get screwed. And everybody today in this BS woke society don't want to hurt. I don't care if I hurt your feelings. It's money. We're talking about money. Money's different. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the dictator of a country or you're the garbage man. When we talk about money, the gloves are off, and I ask you real questions. I don't want to hurt you. I don't care if I hurt your feelings, because it's money, and no one does due diligence anymore. I am shocked that nobody either knows how to do it, which just blows me away.
That might be the biggest problem is the lack of critical thinking in general,
and the target audience as well. Which we were maybe the first thing they're sold about. Sorry, Mike, but the first thing they're sold about is it's okay. It's us. We're the government.
No.
Or
that's dumber.
Or with that.
That's dumber. That's dumber. Yeah. Like when the Singaporean government mentioned that they lost 290 million in FTX, I was like, how are you that stupid? Oh, I know why. You didn't do due diligence. When I hear a government puts money into something, or a mega hedge fund, or even like the Bernie Madoff thing, when the wealthy people, I have friends have lost money with him. I'm like, didn't you ask to see anything? They're like, well, we saw that. I'm like, that's bullshit. I met a guy a couple of weeks ago at a conference, a family office conference, and he says, "Oh, I managed $10 billion." And I was like, that's nice. And he's telling me all about his thing, and he's showing me a 35-year report. I'm like, that's really great. And I said, so we can talk to your bank, right? And we can talk to your auditors. And I literally went through a list. I said, we can talk to all them before we write you a check. He's like, oh yeah, of course. And now I know he's thinking we really won't. So when we had a conference call with him on Monday with our whole people, and we're like, okay, here's the list of people we want to talk to. We'll see if they get back to us. And it's like, I am not giving you squat until I know you're real. And I'm shocked that governments, banks,
I'm not doing it.
hedge funds, VCs. Nobody does it. When you hear about these people that got scammed, and I remember Z-Best back in the 80s. When I heard that, like all these banks got scammed from Z-Best, I'm like, you didn't check?
What was Z-Best? I don't remember Z-Best.
Oh, so Z-Best. It's a great book called Z-Best. Z-Best was. Let me finish to answer Michael's question.
Before you finish your story, just want to tell everybody that you are an investment banker by trade. So this is going to be what you're going to do anyway. And we're us normal.
The way I was brought in.
Us normal Joes are not going to do it. That's just what I'm saying. Sorry.
But the people that are getting scammed, David, aren't normal Joes. I mean, yes, and the normal Joes and Josephines get scammed. But if you're in a sovereign wealth fund,
unfortunately.
Yeah, but the problem is that sovereign wealth funds are getting scammed. Hedge funds, VC group, none of them do due diligence. Like I said, I am shocked that no one has a clue. And if you don't have a clue, fire your people and hire the old guys that all came up back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s that actually had to actually do shit, not like use a computer. You know what I mean? And that's due diligence. Anyway, Z-Best was a company in the 80s. And what they said is that they were cleaning all these office buildings. And they were doing reclaim work and all this other stuff. And they were making hundreds of millions of dollars. And what they would do is when they would bring a bank in for a loan, or they would bring a investment bank in before the IPO, they would find a building under construction. They would pay off the security guards. They would pay off the cleaning crew. And so they would take, just say, the four of us on this grand tour of this building. Yeah. And they go, we have all these contracts. And so they did IPO. And after the IPO, everyone's like, it's a scam, right? Because there's no, they don't have any of this. So they imploded. I mean, the book's 300 pages. There's much more detail. But my point is that I read that and I'm saying, so nobody decided to call, just say, whoever the biggest office builder at the time was, call them and go, hey, we'd like to just double check to make sure these guys have these contracts. And they would have been like, who? And you would have been like, well, this is a problem. Even the accounting firm just took what they put on paper, and auditors are idiots anyway, but put on paper to be factual. Their attorney, nobody made a phone call. And it goes to this day. And I always say to myself, this is the dumbest thing. Why people don't do a little due diligence. Now, to David's point about the little guy or the little girl, unless you're, from a heavy state like Texas or Missouri, Alabama, then you're a big guy or a big girl. But anyway, but if I understand why they may not, because they may not, whether it's their education, whether they just don't know, I understand that. However, there's things they can do. If you're going to, I was talking to a person here that works at a law firm. They were telling me about 3 builders here that scammed a whole bunch of people out of money and never got their stuff. And I'm like, didn't they go check to see what they've built? If I go, someone's going to build me a house. I'm like, show me the houses. And I'm going to knock on the door with the builder and I want to meet people. Yeah. So,
but it's sales 101, Stephen. Sales 101 is that people buy from people. So if you've got, if you're slick, I know. But if you're slick enough and it comes over, you got your Marty suit on, you got your Rolex on, you truck up in a lease Mercedes. Everything. He must be doing okay. Yeah, and you got a good story, and you're helpful and polite, because people buy from people, and they don't scratch the surface. They don't scratch.
I scratch everything. I go A to Z, and you guys have worked with me know that. I go A to Z, and then we go double A, double Z, and we keep going. And then when I'm comfortable, I'm like, okay, this is good. And I don't believe. I mean, and I have friends who are investment bankers when they tell me something, and I'm like, that's great. And if I'm interested, then we start our research, and then I come back with 100 questions, and they're like, oh, I'm like, what? You never asked these? So you have to. It's good to take something, if you will, on face value, say, to pique your interest at A. But you have to go then to B to Z and make sure that it's not a scam. It's not, but they can deliver what they say. And the problem today, I think, because people want to be woke and they're afraid to ask questions. They don't want to be not liked. I don't care. And I've said this many times. I didn't give a shit when I was 5. I certainly don't give a fuck now at 105. So if people are afraid to ask, and it's your money,
that's the
and
bigger
you lose
problem.
it. That's on you, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Even with Evergrande, you can see if
Who
they're
wasn't
building
asking?
something. Yeah, but that's the problem. Nobody does it. I mean, and it's not the little guy, David. It's these mega funds.
Well, maybe that's the lesson from today's show. Is to be as shall we say forceful as your good self, Stephen. Because you're not backwards and going forward. But most people, they're impressed by a nice suit, a nice accent,
or a nice website if it comes to cryptocurrency,
or whatever. And they don't want to fundamentally believe that they're going to be ripped off. But it's only it's only if you've been ripped off that you think, okay. I said on the show yesterday when we were talking to Rolls, like if you can smell poo, it's probably because there is some somewhere,
right.
That's just how the world works.
It's just the lesson.
Most people, they like the nice smile. They like how it is. He's a nice guy. Sure, here's my wallet.
Yeah, but if you worked hard for your money, I mean, and I don't care whether you have $1 in the bank or you have 100 million or 100 billion or whatever it is. If you worked hard for it, don't you think you should ask a question or two? Especially if you're like a struggling whatever.
There's an element of comfort, isn't it? It's like, I'm okay. I've got this. I've got that. I've had a reasonable education. I think I'm okay. Oh, it's that word again. I remember when I used to work for an investment house, and my boss used to say, all the time to everybody. Because people used to assume, he said, are you assuming? Yeah. Don't assume. That was there was a punchline to go with that, which I won't repeat because people.
You make an ass out of you and me. That punchline.
Yeah.
Normally you make the ass out of you.
But assumption is the mother of all problems, and that's just it. People just assume. And
to our viewers and listeners, don't
assume nothing.
Assume nothing. Yeah.
Well, let's leave everybody.
Only assume that we're going to go to Lost and Found. But
wait, before we go to Lost and Found, let's leave everybody with this little thought. There was an article in the FT talked about the 100th anniversary of mutual funds and how it started. And the article is all about, have mutual funds outgrown their usefulness?
Oh no!
So for all the people that are in the mutual funds, ponder that now till next week, or read the article in the FT. So that should just make people lose sleep now for the next 7 days. So
okay, well now you've got a few seconds now to ponder because Lost and Found.
Take us away, David.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
All right. We are back. Back to
let's start with Lost and Found. We'll start with Mr. Nick because we haven't seen him forever. We'll go to Michael. I've got a couple really short ones that are just really stupid but funny.
Well, that we don't believe, Steve. That we don't believe it's going to be short.
And then we'll end up, of course, with David, who is probably going to show us a 57-minute long video about some cow that is planting a flag on the moon or Pluto and is going to save us with climate change. So it should be relatively interesting, our Lost and Found. That's pretty close. Yeah, I got it. All right, Mr. Nick, what do you have for us today?
So we're talking about investment funds and things like that. So it's quite interesting. We've had a massive blow up of one of the biggest investment funds in South Africa. They're actually a medical fund. So sort of everything relating around medical. So it's called Discovery Health. So effectively you pay towards these things, and they've obviously from medical insurance, they then expanded to normal insurance, and so now they have this whole massive plethora of multiple products. And unfortunately, in the sort of online news at the moment, there have been multiple clients who've come out and said that they've tried to claim from Discovery, And what's happened is Discovery then put an undercover supposed police person onto these things that the claims are, and effectively are trying to then do lifestyle audits on these people, but without them knowing. So it's all undercover. It's kind of, they don't know about it, to try and disprove the claim. And most of these people, from what I can gather, claim the fact that they have been, they actually had valid claims, and it's now all coming to the surface. So it's quite interesting that, and that's one of the biggest medical insurance companies in the country. So and they do really good work. Which is frustrating from what I can see, because they really are driving, besides the mathematicians telling them how many times you're supposed to gym a week, which equates to longer life, which actually means more money for them. Park that for a second. They do a bit of good work there. It is quite interesting that some of their what seem like dodgier departments are doing some odd stuff. So it's a bit challenging. But yeah, so dollar lost. I think that hit their stock by about 25% last time I checked. So it's really.
There's going to be an investigation. There's a fraud possibly. They used to do that in the United States, and then they changed the laws. So now the insurance companies just charge us more, and they pay out because they realize if they don't, someone's going to sue them, and the government's going to be like, no, you can't do that. We're going to sue you. So yeah, so it's changed quite a bit here. So you guys are probably, it'll take you 20 years, but yeah, so this will be interesting. All right. Well, Mr. Michael. Let's see if we have the same one this week.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've got an environmental bent going on this week, because I care about the environment. We care about that sort of thing, and the UN just published a report on e-waste. Yeah, I mean we do. That's pro-environment, so that's a good one. But this is actually sad news that e-waste is growing at 5 times faster than we can recycle it. So we're talking about 62 million tons in 2022, and only 14 million tons, or 22%, was actually recycled. And this is it's just bad all across the world. This e-waste, this electronic waste, is just proliferating, and we don't know what to do with it. So someone listening to this show, this is a huge market opportunity. If you can figure out how to monetize e-waste, get on that bandwagon, because we need the help.
What we can say is thank you to the Chinese for inventing e-vapes, which you just smoke once and throw away. Hey.
And just folks, just we get this every day with him. It's not just you guys get him for an hour. We get it every day with this. So just so we're clear.
And Nick, you were going to say something?
Yeah, in the next 7 years, well, depending how long these things last, in the next 7 to 10 years, we're going to have massive solar panel problems, where recycling solar panels is going to be a huge challenge. So they're already predicting
lithium batteries from cars. Think about that. Lithium batteries from cars too. That's going to be your next one. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, what a happy green show we're on today.
Can I tell you something? I just want to say something for the lizard people and the Illuminati. Thank you. Okay, so we're all clear. Now, there are a couple really quick ones. Adidas is losing its 85-year sponsorship with the German football club to Nike after 85 years.
Wow.
Well, the Nazis care. That's number one. Number two, Trump can't come up with $465 million to pay what he owes according to the state of New York, and nobody will issue him a bond for $465 million. And his SPAC, whatever it's called, everybody whacks off Trump, is voting today to see if they're going to go public or something. And if they do, then it is a $3.5 billion windfall for the SPAC, which of course Trump will get some of that. But one of the major shareholders wants a bigger chunk to vote yes. So now they're in court. So all of that is a dollar lost, depending on what side of the coin you're on. So I think it's just fascinating. Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Big dollars. Those are big amounts. It was $500 million, something like that.
Telephone number.
Well, I've said this before on one of the other shows. I mean, I'm quite happy. I did actually break open my piggy bank, and I have emailed Donald and said, like, if you want some money to help you get out of jail, I mean, we're all in this big monopoly game anyway. I'm amazed you didn't get out of free card anyway. But there you go. It's another story.
Playing the game.
That's it. We're done.
Play the game.
Next week is Corey Doctrum. Right? Corey's our guest next week.
Was that David's? That was yours, David?
No.
Oh, David's. Oh no, we have one. I'm sorry. I thought David. What's yours, David? I'm sorry.
I can say, you built it up so much, Steve. Dave's got nowhere to go now.
And now he's just gone.
He just wants to get me off the show.
No, I love you, David. I love you so much. Damn it, he heard me. So sorry, David.
Yeah, after Christmas card list. So this is we're going about recycling, which I was quite amazed to find something this week. I hadn't seen this before. My kids were all switched on to it. I wasn't. It's a Dutch recycling company called Ware, and what they do is they purchase sneakers. They last, I think, since 2023, not even a year or a year and a half. They've bought 2 tons of sneakers, from which they've actually managed to save 20,000 pairs of sneakers. And so they're buying them from the thrift stores. They're buying them from the people who have the charity big charity boxes where people could put their recycled,
like Salvation Army kind of thing.
Yeah, Salvation Army, where people put the clothing in. So that's an industry in itself. But so what they do is this stuff. All they do is they put a new insole into it. They clean it. They put new laces on it. They photograph it and they put it up online. They've got about 4,000 pairs of sneakers now available. And it's amazing because they're somewhere between 30 and 60% of the original RRP. And all they've basically done is they've bought them out of this huge waste mountain, cleaned them up, and putting them back into.
They should come on our show.
Okay. All right.
So you should come on the show, David.
You should send it. They should send us a couple pairs, and we should try them out, and they should get on the show. And
the other most shocking thing of that, because it's like 2 tons, but there's 135 million kilos of textiles just thrown away in Holland. Thrown away in Holland every year.
Oh wow!
Really?
It's absolutely staggering.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Well, this is exactly what we're talking about.
Most of it gets burned, of course, which is the even more. So for me, definitely a found.
That's a found.
They should come on the show and tell us about this in more detail. I would love that.
Yeah, to be honest, if I wasn't the age I am now, I'd love to be part of that. Really, really floats my boat.
Okay. What's the name of the company again?
The company is called Ware. I've got the stuff. I'll put the link up for you as well.
All right.
Okay.
On our feed.
I'll reach out to them. I'll try to get them on the show. Let's get them.
There you go. Let's get them on the show. That'd be great.
It floats your boat. Let's get them on the show.
Yeah,
well, not much floats his boat anymore. So
it's the same thing as nothing floats. It's the same as the e-waste, isn't it? I mean, that's also a really exciting business to be in.
Yeah.
I'm very pro circular economy. Very pro circular economy. We got to get to that point. I don't know how we'll ever do it, but we got to get there.
Well, as much as we bitch about the French, they're probably the most progressive people in Europe because they put these extra taxes on, and they're also trying to ban products which cannot be repaired going forward. So small steps. And
human beings.
That? We're repairing things again.
Well, I mean that'd be great. Someone was telling me the greatest thing that capitalism has produced, modern capitalism has produced, is trash. We've just produced so much of it.
Yeah.
We've gotten really good, and we've gotten really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know what to do with it, but we've gotten good at it.
We got it.
Yeah.
Well, where there's muck, there's money, as they say in English. Where there's muck, there's money.
There's money. That's right. Well, thank you for that. For telling us about
That's very cool. Yeah, and don't forget. So next Saturday we will be back with Corey Doctrum.
Dr. Al, yeah.
Close enough for government work. The great Canadian tech commentator, and all that we made famous, and he got on He did a whole article in the Financial Times, and now he's going to come on and thank us for his fame, as Brown Card Guy did. And don't forget that you can catch all our Lost Dollar Business every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. New York time, and podcast comes out at the same time. And like I said, just look under Two Old Farts Making Noises, and you can find the Lost Dollar Business Club there on podcasting. On YouTube, it's either that or 15 other titles, so good luck with that. So just subscribe to the channel. It'll be a lot easier for you. And that's it, I think. If you want to be a guest on the show and you have something of substance, let us know.
Yeah, please do. And if you like more of this madness, then join us again next week.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, always good to see you.